easiest way to share a children's book on Zoom is simply to share a children's book on Zoom, to hold up the book and read it to the children. And that can work really effectively as long as you've got a physical copy of book in the house. You do also want to think about some things though in order to make that the best possible experience. One thing to think about is what's your lighting, making sure that you've got good lighting available. The better your screen image, the better. I purposely today have kind of a little bit of a blurry image. You can see it would be better if I was on a higher bandwidth and so you could see kind of everything a little bit crisper, but let's play with what happens when we don't have the best computer connection, but it's adequate. So I first want to do all the things I want to normally think about, kind of how do I make my camera image as good as possible? How do I make a sound as good as possible so it's easy to hear me? Once I've gone through those steps, then I want to think about what books to share. And some things we want to think about is not just what we always consider, right? We've always considered what's our favorite book, what's fun to read, what ties into our storyline. But we also honestly need to think about a couple things like how heavy is the book, how shiny is the book, how big are the words, because that's going to really affect the visual experience online. Okay, so I love this book, but it's heavy, right? It's heavy, it's shiny. It also combines multiple pages on the multiple pages of the story onto the same page of the book. So I find that just these 4 pages of Chicka Chicka Boom Boom end up just being really busy and hard for the kids to keep track of. You'll also notice I have to kind of hold this in front of my face so you don't see me, probably don't hear me as well once I've got it up there. And with the shininess and the small letters, it's just hard for this to be a good experience. So much as I love this book, I'm not going to use it during online circle time. Rather than that hardcover book, it's easier to have a nice lightweight soft cover. I've still got a couple issues with this one. It's a little bit big. Obviously, there are bigger books, but this one's still a little bit big. And when I open up the pages, some of them show up pretty well. Right? There's some glossiness, but at least I've got a good contrast on the picture, good size of words. But then some of the scenes in this are about what the animals are up to in the nighttime. And so those darker pages with that glossiness on them just don't work as effectively. So I may still read Farmer Duck because I love Farmer Duck, but I might use another option, such as taking pictures of the pages or making a video or using a video instead of trying to hold it up and show that to you. So Dinosaur Roar is more effective just because the colors are stronger, so contrast is higher, and it's got great big words. Although it's still got the glossy pages and I still have to figure out how to lean around it, it's going to be easier to see than Farmer Duck was. But much better than paperback books, honestly, if you have them and you're working with younger kids, is to go to the board book option. Board books, because they're stiff, they're lightweight, they're small, they're a lot easier to manage. I can also hold it down low enough so you can still see part of my face and I don't have to kind of dive around it quite as much. And it's important for the children to be able to see our faces as we're working to build those relationships with them. So using something like the Very Hungry Caterpillar, we've got good close-up views of it. It's easy to manage our way through all the pages. They can still see those fun, like, you know, the apple with the bite through it, the pears. If there's something I want to show them up close, engage them more. I might say on Saturday, they ate through, right? And I can move it up closer. I have the one piece of chocolate cake, one ice cream cone, one, what's that? Oh, right, a pickle, right? So I can still kind of take advantage of some things I'd see do in a classroom, and actually they've got a better view of this book than online than they would have had in my classroom. I like lift the flap books always, and just like in person they're more engaging than just a plain book, online they're more engaging. So I like them. The fact that this is a board book means it's easy for me to hold and support the book while still being able to manipulate the pages and work my way through that board book with the kids. So every once in a while you have a weird book that, you know, there's just something unusual about, and you want to make sure that you've tested it as well. I love this book. It's the Polka Dot Old MacDonald Had a Farm. And after you sing the verse about with a cluck, cluck here, cluck, cluck there, then we're going to count the numbers of chickens. And every time we count one, we pop that bubble. 1, 2, 3, that one's already popped. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I really like using this in person because the kids really like to pop those bubbles, but I thought even online it would be fun to have that because that additional sound adds a new level of interest for the kids, but I needed to test it with my microphone to make sure that was going to pick up. Okay, so if you have physical books and you're kind of a little intimidated by doing anything more technologically savvy than that, this is obviously an easy place to start. Just a couple things to think about to make it the most successful it can be. There's also a lot of other ways though that we can share picture books online. I'm going to cover those all in detail in my post. but they are some things like taking pictures of the pages, turning those into a PowerPoint and telling the story along with that, making a video of the pages, or else taking somebody else's video and narrating that. So there's a lot of other options we can look at, but that's our first basic one to start with.